Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about how an athlete stays committed to their process, they stick to their bread and butter throughout the years, and what problems a professional golfer may face growing up, going through the professional journey, traveling different countries, playing different golf courses, what are the challenges that comes along the way, and how we can create a mindset to tackle these problems. A lot of pros get into a cycle of constantly trying to get better, and some succeed, some don't, but more often than not, most players are better off doing the same things over and over again, creating systems which are repeatable, which are reliable under pressure. And that's where most people falter, because they are always trying to chase something forward, they're trying to keep getting better, but they forget that the fundamentals, the foundations they've built, that doesn't have to change. You should build what you've already established in your foundation. You should add small steps, but it takes years and years to add small improvements, to add maybe a new shot you want to learn, to add a new club you want to put in the bag. So little things like that we're going to talk about.
Today's topic is sticking to your bread and butter. What is literally mean? Means you ingrain some habits, you ingrain some system to work and to live in your life. You have some systematic plan to eat, to walk, to go to the office. You have some time management and some disciplined habit in your life. So what does it mean? That when whatever you have learned from the childhood, you should not or you cannot change that. If you wanted to change that, you will not be able to change it with so ease and comfort, but because you are used to it. For example, take example of the golf. Like when you go to the Asian tour, when you go to the European tour, you know grown up in an Indian environment. You learn some systematic swinging habits, putting habit, chipping habit. When you go to the Asian tour, you start observing the other athletes what they are doing, and you better than relying on your own mechanism, you try to copy the other things, which generally proves fatal for you on the game when you are there to perform and when they are there to get the results. When you are any iota of doubts comes in your mind, then you will be all over the park on that particular week. So sticking to your bread and butter literally mean that you stick to your system and stick to your habit and discipline what you have learned for over the years.
So the journey of improving as a golfer, the learning curve is very slow. So oftentimes players start to get frustrated, maybe they are not going towards the direction they want to, and then they start tinkering with things. But from what history tells us and all the great players what they have gone through, they stay committed to a process, and they have to give it enough time to let it mature. What it means in the practical world is that if you've decided that you're going to play a certain way, you're going to have a certain SOP, whether it is more field based or more mechanically based, that is the player's choice depending on the kind of person they are. But once you've established a system for you, you have to trust it 100% every week, every day. Only then, after a few years, it will start to show its compounded effect. You can't change your SOP every month. You can't keep adding new clubs and taking out new clubs to suit your game, what you're feeling that day. You have to develop a system and stay committed to that process.
So sticking to your bread and butter, let's examine four segment different way. Like let's take an example from the normal day-to-day office life. Like you have habits to go to the office at 9 a.m. Then you see your e-office files, and you tends to do some grammatical mistake. Then you might take a shelter from the Grammarly or OpenChat, GTP or Perplexity. Put your words into that and rephrase into in your own language, and you submit your file to the superior officers. That's one way. Second way, you keep writing in the morning and keep improving your grammar, and then you can do the better work in the English work day-to-day job. So that's the second set. So it means you have certain habits to acquire over the years which you cannot change. So these kind of things, that how you will clear the file, how you will read the file, how you will process the file and submit to the next level, that's your habit. So if you try to change it, you will end up nowhere. So the way you work, you keep working that way, and no doubt Everybody wanted to improve, maybe inch by inch, or maybe feet by feet, or maybe miles by miles. That's your choice, your personality, that how you wanted to improve. Some people got a habit to read, some people got a habit to go to the internet and search for the latest information. They try to learn the latest software, they try to learn the artificial intelligence. So these people, they learn throughout their life. Some people got a habit to build up the library and to go to the daily routine, that how many books they read in a year, that kind of stuff. So improvement is one aspect, and you're sticking to this, and that's the second aspect. So let's examine the example of Lee Trevino, that he has a very idiosyncratic swing, and out here in India, G. Milkha sir is there. When he talked to the coaches, they surprised that what kind of swing he has, but he knows how to put the ball in the hole. That's all he needs. So he's sticking to the system, whatever he learned, and chipping, putting, driving shots, all fade, and then 600, 700 daily. This is your routine job. What do you say, Alvaro?
So in golf, the main objective of the game is to put the ball from point A to point B in the fewest strokes possible. Along the way, players get lost in trying to have a good swing, good technique. It is all immaterial if you can get the ball in the hole in the fewer strokes than your opponents. That's the name of the game. So you have to identify areas which are in your competence, which are your strengths, and have to be aware about your weaknesses. You can't change how you naturally think about the game. That is something you are born with. That is sort of like your signature of the game. So it is foolish to try to change that, to try to play in a way which you are not naturally aligned with. So smart players and great players, they find it who they are. If they are aggressive in nature, they can't expect to lay up on every par 5, they can't expect to lay up on every par 4. So they have to develop a way around that, if they are going for the greens on par 5s, that their miss is in the right place. So they are adjusting to the requirement of the shot, and not having to lay up, and then they start getting frustrated that I can't even go for it, or I can't play my natural game. So you have to account for your personality with how you play the game. Another example is many players, after if they are not on a good stretch, they'll start to try to overpower the course, whereas every course allows the players to make birdie opportunities. But a lot of times on tour, there are flags, sucker flags we call them, like which are just on the edge of the green, close to the water, close to the bunker, and they are inviting players to try to go for them and hit into trouble. So patience is also required when you are playing challenging courses, demanding courses, that you have to stick to your game plan. Even if the flags, that you have a chance of hitting to the flag, but percentage play wise, it's not it's not a calculated risk, and the odds are not in your favor. So it's much better to take your medicine, stay in the game, give yourself a birdie, look at birdie, and you keep doing that week in, week out, and you will start to see more consistent results.
Let's examine the example of Bobby Jones. He stuck to his coach Jack Grout, and he always learned his game from watching the game of that time hero Stuart Maiden. So whatever he learned in next first 5-6 years, he kept repeating the entire year. So in the off season, he go to the coach, just brush up the fundamentals he requires to shoot a good number on the golf course. That's all he do. And every January he go to his coach, and his coach catch him from the head, that's making his head still while he's taking backswing or follow through. And that's all he learned from his coach, that sticking to the one principle and repeating it for entire of your life. That's all he did. Let's take a second example. Tiger Wood, when he came, he was very flexible, very athletic, and when he went to the coach and superior coaches, you can say, and then they try to restrict his backswing and try to restrict his follow through, and make it a compact swing. He struggled for a couple of years, but then everybody knows what Tiger did to the history of the golf. Anil, what do you say on this?
So staying within your competence also means that you are refining your mindset, you are refining how you think about the game. Tiger is a classic example. When he first came on the scene as a pro, he was very flexible, he was very lanky, and he decided that after winning the 97 Masters, that he can't be the player he wants to be in 20 years with that swing and that physique. So he hired a good trainer, he hired a good swing coach, and they set out on a process which put him back for 2 years, because the changes he made has to take time to inculcate in his mind. But once he got stronger, he was very lean, he had to put on a lot of weight, he had to put on a lot of muscle to swing the swing he wanted to swing. But once it all came together, then he stuck with it for good 9-10 years, and he was the most dominant golfer in the history in those 10 years. He won 15 majors, and he was almost unbeatable in every tournament he teed up. But it was because of that foundation which he built with his coach, and he stuck to it.
Let's examine the last segment of this sticking to the bread and butter. Like you have two options: to improve or to stay as it is where you are. You can do it only in two ways: listening to your coach, and you can afford not to talk to your coach. While you are listening, there is a chance that you will improve a lot, and when you are not listening, there is no chance of improvement in your life. So stability and sticking to your bread butter, and the same time you are improving, but make sure that not much information pour in your armor, so that you get confused and you don't know what to do and what not to do. So thank you very much for watching.